Welcome to the 5-Minute PM episode 74, where we break down everything project management into 5-minute segments. Today, we're stepping into a unique arena conflict. More specifically, how to recognize when conflict within your team or project is still beneficial, and when it's time to step in and resolve it. Let's dive into Project Fight Club. First things first, conflict gets a bad rap. Most of us are trained to think of it as something to avoid, but here's the twist. Conflict can actually be a good thing. A Harvard Business Review article by Mark Gerson explains that managed correctly, conflict can foster innovation, sharpen critical thinking, and strengthen team dynamics. The key is knowing when the fight is productive versus when it's a roadblock. Let's start with why conflict can be helpful. Think about a time when two team members debated over a solution. Maybe it got a little heated, but in the end, they came up with something better than either could have alone. That's conflict working as a tool for creativity. When team members challenge ideas, it forces everyone to consider multiple perspectives. But how do you know if conflict is still productive? Let me give you 3 clues. 1. The focus stays on the project, not personal attacks. If your team is arguing over the best way to meet a deadline, that's fine. But if it devolves into finger-pointing or blaming, the conflict has stopped being about the project and is now a problem. 2. It's leading to solutions. Productive conflict results in new ideas, clearer strategies, or improved processes. If the argument keeps circling back to the same points without progress, it's just noise. 3. Everyone still feels heard. This one's big. If one side feels steamrolled, resentment will build, and that's poison for your team. Keep an eye out for quieter members of the team. If they're disengaging, the conflict might be skewed. Here's where it gets interesting. How do you manage conflict to keep it beneficial? The answer lies in balance. As a project manager, you're the referee, not the judge. Your job is to make sure everyone gets a fair shot in the discussion, but you don't have to pick sides. A great strategy is to reframe arguments. Instead of letting two developers argue over which tool to use, for example, ask, how can we combine the strengths of both tools? This shifts the focus from winning the argument to solving the problem. Now there's also a point where conflict starts doing more harm than good. Here are the red flags to watch for. Morale is dropping. If your team seems burned out or disengaged after every meeting, the conflict is likely toxic. Deadlines are slipping. Healthy debates shouldn't derail timelines. If they do, it's time to rein things in. Team members avoid each other. If people are taking the long way around the office to dodge a coworker, the conflict is clearly unresolved. Let's not forget the role of emotional intelligence here. In his book Emotional Intelligence 2.0, Travis Bradberry talks about how self-awareness and empathy can diffuse tensions before they escalate. As a PM, be mindful of your own triggers, and always aim to understand where your team members are coming from. One practical tool for managing conflict is a conflict check-in. At the start of your team meetings, dedicate 5 minutes to openly discuss any unresolved tensions. This normalizes conflict as a part of the process and keeps minor disagreements from festering into bigger issues. That's all for today's episode of the 5-Minute PM. Remember, conflict isn't the enemy, it's a tool. Used wisely, it can drive innovation, strengthen your team, and even help you hit your project goals faster. The trick is knowing when it's working for you and when it's working against you. Want to help support the channel? Visit the 5-Minute PM merch store. Got any stories of project conflicts that turned into success stories or disasters? Share them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time, and keep those projects thriving.